I remember doing Alice in Wonderland. I think I was 12. And there was some sort of like crying scene, and my parents were laughing in the front. And I was like, oh, you like this? Oh, okay. And then just like started hamming it up. And I just remember always kind of trying to make them laugh. I think that's probably the first time where I was like, okay, I like this.
When I first came out to LA, I had only done serious plays, and then, like, I remember the first thing I booked was this episode of The Shield where I was, I had been raped and tattooed on the face, like, as a consequence of the rape. And,
what a fun show.
It was nice. It was a good experience. And then after that, I booked Veronica Mars, and I had no idea that it was more of a comedy than it was a drama, and that door just kind of opened itself, I guess. Like, I didn't really even know what I was doing, which was snarky, was considered funny, and then all of a sudden people were like, well, you're kind of a comedic actress, and I was like, I am? That was very exciting.
I could not get a sitcom until I was 40 years old. And because I had done only dramatic films, only dramatic roles on television, dramatic series, and plays in New York. And Ellen Travolta, who was Joni Loves Chachi, playing the mother, she knew me from a musical, from Gypsy at Muni Opera, St. Louis Muni Opera. And she said, oh, I want Jessica Walter to play this part. And they had no idea, you know, they said, come in. And my daughter said, she was about 9, she said, oh, you have to go, we love that show, we love that show. So I went in and met these producers who were like 20 and only got the part because Ellen, you know, recommended me. And from then on, I, you know, started to get comedies. And now I'm having trouble getting a drama. That's all I have to say, Betty.
Well, I think it was Edmund Gwenn who said, drama is easy, comedy is hard. I think the tough part about comedy, you get an instant review. In drama, you can act all over the place and everybody says, oh, look at her acting, isn't it wonderful? Or, boy, there's a lot of acting going on there. But with comedy, you get an instant review. If you don't get the laugh, you've bombed. And so I just love it. I was blessed with a mother and father who had I was an only child, and they had a marvelous sense of humor. So there wasn't a straight man in the house. I mean that in a nice way. So we really, around the breakfast table on Sunday, we'd sit there for 2 hours, cracking each other up.
I sort of remember there was kind of a moment. I grew up in sort of a tragicomedy sort of house where I think there was a lot of sort of natural need for levity. It was just kind of a crazy house. And I remember I must have been about 10 years old, and I went to public school in Los Angeles, and you know, we had a bus stop, and my bus stop was at Gardner Elementary, and I was bused up to Wonderland Avenue. But I would kind of do shtick for the other kids when we were waiting. And one of my favorite shticks was there was a girl who was very unusual in our class, and I did a spot-on mimicry of her. But I remember that I was not a mean kid, I was not cruel at all, and I was actually very friendly with her, but I realized that there's that subtle line between being skilled at mimicking someone to the delight of other people because it's so spot-on without it being nasty. And I think I remember it was this kid, Chris Engel, who I would make laugh, and he was at my bus stop, and I recently ran into him in an airport. We hadn't seen each other in about 30 years. I said, do you remember I used to imitate that girl? And he said, yes, I remember. And I remember so vividly, just literally standing at the bus stop, like doing this kind of shtick, again, without wanting to be cruel, but seeing what it's like to pull that laughter out of someone, not because you're teasing someone.
Can you still do her?
Yeah, but it's now it might be mean.